Enterprise resource planning systems are the essential backbone of every corporation around the world. They pull together all aspects of your business: financials and accounting, projects, human resources, customer experiences, and supply chains to give you a comprehensive and accurate view of your business. Picking the right ERP system is a core element of every IT strategy, and choosing the right vendor and partner is essential. Most ERP systems in use today were designed for on-premises deployment, with lots of customizations to make them fit your requirements. But that's a real problem, because once that custom code is in place, your ERP system can't evolve at the pace your business needs. This is why we created Oracle Fusion Cloud ERP, redesigned from the ground up for the cloud. It seamlessly connects all your critical business processes and allows you to rapidly adapt to today's business challenges, since we provide you with continuous innovation updates. It's fundamentally different than simply hosting an on-premises ERP system in the cloud. It intelligently automates labor-intensive tasks such as expense reporting, managing projects, cash, risk and compliance, or accelerating the period close, reducing the time you spend gathering, reconciling, and validating data. It helps you identify patterns and anomalies using machine learning and suggests your next best course of action, so you can focus on running your business and managing exceptions. Pre-built or custom dashboards pull data from across the company, giving you a comprehensive view of your finance and operations in real time. The best part? Complete confidence that change will never outpace you, since we take care of keeping you up to date with innovations delivered every 90 days. Gone are the days of massive, unpredictable ERP implementations. We'll help you get up and running in weeks or months instead of years. See how Oracle Fusion Cloud ERP can help your company keep pace with change through continuous innovation.
Hi, I'm Peter Russo, Head of ERP Marketing at Oracle. In the tech industry, like many industries, things tend to improve incrementally. Things become slightly faster. Usability gets slightly better year after year. Then, every once in a while, something happens that upends the whole status quo, and that moment has arrived for ERP. We've all experienced a tremendous amount of change during the past 18 months. But actually, this was just an acceleration of many trends that were already underway. The pace of change, industry by industry, has shaken even some of the most fortified businesses and business models that are out there. So now, companies need to react faster to even keep up, let alone lead. They need accurate data and insights right now. Tomorrow or in the next couple of days simply isn't sufficient. They need to make strategic decisions in the moment, and they need to execute flawlessly across their operations. This business reality has broken the old ERP model. Taking an on-premises solution and hosting that in someone else's cloud simply won't allow you to keep up with the market. Investing your scarce resources to maintaining a solution that's only going to get older and adding to your technical debt, this won't help you to keep up with market shifts. Now, there's a new breed of corporate leaders on the market moving at a pace like no one else. Companies like Dropbox, Stitch Fix, MTN, Chipotle, and Square are moving at a speed that almost gives them an unfair advantage compared to their competition. Their Oracle applications, just like the apps on your phone, are always up to date. Quarterly updates consistently made on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure with a single data model, user experience, and seamless processes. Quarterly updates include refinements to user experience, tighter dimensional security, and refinements to AI algorithms that just get better and better, just like the streaming services you might use at home. It also introduces new functionality that brings new opportunities to your business, like layering in a subscription business model, joint venture, or M&A integrations that just get faster. And today, we're really proud to introduce a whole new set of advantages directly influenced by our customer feedback that now all Oracle Cloud ERP customers can apply to their business. This is innovation that outpaces change.
What we want to try to create is an atmosphere where we've got a startup culture within a public company, right? We don't want to lose that. We want to tap into that to make sure that folks feel as though they can innovate.
I like working for MTN because you can see the difference you make. We've really expanded in a number of key markets, bringing technology to a lot of places that's been traditionally not part of your economic map.
The DNA at Lyft is fast, a lot of change. It's really the culture at Lyft. It's a highly competitive industry, and in order to be competitive, it goes back to really needing real-time information for our business leaders and our decision makers.
We had numerous legacy systems running in all the operations, and there was very limited standardization across the group, and therefore we couldn't really leverage our scale.
As a public company, I need one answer. I need accurate, readily, timely data so that I can have the shortest close possible.
We were very impressed with Oracle. You're dealing with a business partner there that is best in class. As we have launched into different geographical markets, it's important for us that we have standardization in terms of our policies and procedures, and the cloud allows that to happen. We've also been able to tap into some of the next generation of technologies that Oracle is very focused on. If you think about AI and machine learning, those are very congruent with Square and our philosophy about being innovative.
There's an interest in the new technologies, which you wouldn't have had were you to stick with the on-premise solutions.
It was important that we had a tool that could essentially deal with what we knew about today, but also partner with us in terms of the innovation for tomorrow as well.
Without that flexibility, without that data, real time, you're looking in the rearview mirror instead of looking ahead to make those decisions to grow with the market.
Hello and welcome. My name is Randy Ain. I'm responsible for all cloud ERP applications development at Oracle. Joining me today, we have Matt Bradley, who is my counterpart running EPM apps development at Oracle for many years. So we have lots and lots of great excitements in the customer community this year and lots of mega go lives. And I'd like to actually share with you some of the exciting news there. Two of the largest global banks in the world just went live with the Cloud General Ledger Cloud Financials, one in Australia and one in the US. Now, two largest US supermarket chains also went live with full cloud ERP, replacing some of the legacy systems. And one actually went live in January, and then one just went live this month. The largest logistics company in the world also actually went live. After 5 phases of the project, they have brought together 83 countries totally live on our cloud ERP. And they are still continuing going on very, very strong. Last but not least, the largest telco in the US also actually went live with the Cloud General Ledger in the beginning of the year. The list keeps going on and on across many different industries, geographies, and different sizes of customers. Now, this brings us to a total of more than 6,400 customers who are live on our cloud ERP, out of a total of roughly about 8,200 customers. Now, this is really a data point about how important and how urgent our customers are treating their transformation and innovation with the SaaS technology. And we're really, really excited to partner with all of these customers with basically this digital transformation journey. Now, Matt, you and I have been talking to hundreds of CFOs and CAOs and CIOs over the years, and always around the frame of a digital finance transformation with the SaaS technology. Can you tell us a little bit about what these chief executives are looking for?
Sure. Congratulations on the go lives. It's tremendous news. What we're really seeing is it's really a journey. And a lot of the customers really start fairly small and simple. It's really about total cost of ownership, retiring technical debt, not investing in on-prem upgrades or hardware, et cetera, anymore, and trying to leverage the advantages that SaaS can bring. And then we start to see them leverage SaaS as somewhat of a change agent internally. The ability for them to simplify their existing processes, to right-size them, for future-proof them if you want, to standardize them globally, so there's one way to work and operate, and then to introduce a lot of automation to gain just general efficiencies. But we're starting to see them starting to innovate, starting to get much more aggressive in terms of where they're going and being able to turn the crank, if you want, in terms of their business agility more so. And I'm sure that's something you've seen from your customers too.
Yeah, clearly we're seeing a number of trends going on beyond just simplifying, standardizing, and automating, right? First, we're seeing a lot of customers expanding rapidly across multiple different organizations as they build up the confidence and successes in the early phases. They're expanding even faster and bigger than ever before. And I've also seen a lot of customers really actually expanding their footprint. Some of the functions that they never actually were even kind of contemplating to use because it's now on the same platform. Now they have an opportunity to try it out and then basically use it at a very low incremental cost, right? Now, but what is even more exciting is many of the customers who have been live for a little while, 1, 2, or 3 years, now they are looking at even more opportunities to optimize all the manual procedures that are still remaining in the system and trying to actually look for different ways to leverage the systems in ways that they've never thought about before, right? Building even more reports and trying to drive more automation with the new functionality. And the last thing that actually is really becoming a best practice there is the continuous innovation by really looking at all the ongoing innovations coming through these quarterly release updates. Many of these things are things that they were never actually even paying attention to, but they're starting now because now it's a quarterly release cycle with lots and lots of capabilities. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're seeing customers really actually, while they're adopting SaaS, many of the different business changes, how are they actually managing the business changes as well as the SaaS adoption in particular?
One area that we have seen quite a lot of activity is that once you get the fundamentals right, you can now set yourself up for increased M&A activity. You can close your books faster. You can consolidate your numbers more readily. And then we're seeing quite a lot of interest in organizations with this simplify, standardize, automate, is get that efficiency so they can absorb newer businesses quicker and faster. But we not only see it in the inorganic kind of growth opportunities, we see it in the organic growth opportunities. Once you've established the sort of business agility, you get into strategic agility. What are potentially the new business models that you may put in place? Maybe it's a shift away from product orientation to service orientation. And that brings it with a new set of challenges and complexities. How do you book the revenue? How do you actually recognize the revenue? How do you provision the activities? How do you report against that particular piece? And by having a fully integrated platform on a consistent data model, we provide the capabilities for customers to take advantage of that and pivot if they need to, if their business demands that.
Matt, you and I actually constantly being asked about, hey, how do you actually come up with all these different innovation ideas? Where do you get all these ideas from? Tell us a little bit about the methodology there.
We do source quite a lot of features every year. I believe there's over 1,000 that we've done across ERP, supply chain, and enterprise performance management. And what we've done, both our teams, is really transformed. We needed to become agile. We needed to sort of move away from the traditional model of the on-premise, where we did a major upgrade every 3 to 5 years, and really move to this continuous innovation that you mentioned before, this quarterly release cadence that we put in place. And that requires us to have a much more engagement with the customers. And it's really listening to the customers, really trying to understand exactly what they need and what they want. And we see a variety of models that we've put in place, different channels than what we used to have. Customer Connect is a great example where we get the ideation coming through from the customers. They're explicitly telling us, here's what we need in the product. And we go forward and put that in place. Some of it can be from direct integration that we have during implementations. We're explaining our roadmap, the customer's explaining their roadmap, and we're finding a match in terms of this feature is coming in the next quarter. Maybe you should change the implementation process appropriately, accordingly from that particular standpoint. But we also have this implicit education, if you want, this feedback loop that we're getting from all of the telemetry information, from all of the activity that our customers are doing in the cloud. We're listening to those signals. How often do they use a feature? What's the performance like when they use a certain feature? And then we're gathering signals from that and actually adding that into the products themselves where we can do optimizations, et cetera, from that standpoint. In addition to all of that, we are the eyes and ears for our customers too. We're looking at the horizon. We're seeing what's happening in the business. in the various industries. We're looking at regulations and change. We're looking at innovative technologies and where we could apply that to processes that exist inside of these our customers, and then adding that into the mix as well. So there's a lot of innovations from a variety of different areas. I think it's all predicated by this partner relationship that we're looking to have with the customers so that we can work in tandem and have the customer really at the center of all the innovations we do, regardless if they tell us explicitly, regardless if it's market driven. We'll have them involved in previews and ongoing sessions in order to refine and tune it. But it's one thing to develop all of these, Rondi, as you know well. It's another thing in managing that change. And maybe you could talk a little bit about how do we make this consumable for customers so they can, grab these innovations and move forward at that pace?
Everything is becoming a lot more real time, right? The partnership and kind of basically all the things that we're doing are directly relevant to kind of how they're using the system, and we're doing that proactively. And sometimes kind of basically customers are able to connect with many of the product managers and product expertise almost real time online, right? That's never possible before. Now, it is great that kind of we got all that partnership. But also is extremely important is how we bring to them all these innovations in a way that they can consume and adopt easily. And this is what we have been working on, really trying to perfect the process over the last few years, is really bring all these innovations to them in a very incremental and non-disruptive manner. And that's how kind of many years ago we started this quarterly release cycle where we're bringing to them not just kind of basically all the changes that you expect automatically, kind of we dialed in and performance optimize, we upgrade your data center and your infrastructure. For example, kind of we've been upgrading our customers to OCI Generation 2 with much better performance, scalability, and security capabilities than the first generation. And we're still in the process of doing that, right? And not to count kind of basically all the different versions of different technology stacks, security changes, and all that. All that debt that the people actually had to manage in a very expensive way and not very frequently before on-premise. We're doing that incrementally and automatically for them. So you don't have to worry about any of that. Now, beyond the technology stack, clearly there are lots and lots of great functional features, like what you said, right? Last time I looked at that, about 60% of the features came from customers' feedback directly, right? And then, of course, there's some market-driven stuff in there. But how do we actually bring to them in a way that is not going to disrupt them if they are not ready to adopt those capabilities right away through every single quarter? So the way that we've been doing that is having a very straight opt-in model. So opt-in means that you're not going to be affected at all if I actually don't have time or kind of don't have the interest on those functionality after the update. The system will perform exactly like how it was before the update, okay? Then kind of when you are ready on a periodic basis, you can review the content, and because like what I mentioned earlier, people are starting to get into the practice of leveraging all those release content and try to understand what is relevant to them. And then you explicitly turn it on in your test environment, try it out, and then when you're ready, you actually bring that to your users with the appropriate change management cycle and policies kind of your company, right? So it's a much easier way for you to consume. As a matter of fact, when we talk to a lot of different customers, and we look at our data points as well, this quarterly incremental release cycle, the disruption is, as a matter of fact, actually, contrary to kind of what people would think that actually you update less frequently, it will be less disruptive. And we have proven throughout the years that actually doing that in this quarterly release model with the incremental changes is way better than doing every 6 months or every year. And as we talk to our CFOs and CAOs friends, they are telling us kind of they always want to spend more time on supporting their business to become true co-pilots of the business, supporting them to make opportunities and decisions in a way that is driven by current real-time data. And let's spend less time on actually managing the more mundane transactional processing or close that kind of activities. And we have been focusing on creating our roadmap and vision around 3 main things. Now, first of all, touchless operations. Really try to make sure that everything end-to-end is automated by machines with minimum manual interventions, right? And the second thing is getting people the latest and greatest information about what's going on with the business so that they can actually use your EPM capabilities to predict as well as drive different scenarios and models with all the great capabilities that you have in EPM. And of course, kind of like we also spend a lot of time focusing on user experience, how we actually bring user experience to the next level. It's just not the look and feel. Clearly, we spend a lot of time improving and making it more consumer user experience, but leveraging things like collaboration, things like digital assistance, conversational experience to make the entire experience more modern and closer to what people use in the consumer world, right? So all in all, these are basically the driving priorities for both of our organizations for many years now. Very excited about that. Now, let me tell you some of the exciting things that we're doing in the core ERP on automation. I've been talking about intelligent document recognition. We have this machine learning-based recognition engine that actually can ingest images or PDF files or any formats for that matter, so we can automatically create transactions like expenses or invoices and so on. We are refining that, we're expanding that to many, many different document types. For example, journal entries, enterprise journals, all kind of things around receipts and so on and so forth. We're improving the way that we derive account combinations. When you go into a transaction screening, you have to actually specify your legal entity, cost centers. And a lot of times we can derive that intelligently using machine learning model to derive that based on context, so you can actually save yourself some time and avoid mistakes because we default correctly for you, right? Now, tell us a little bit about all the great stuff about all the AI activities that you guys are driving.
Absolutely, yeah. We're very excited about this. It's been a bit of a journey. We started off with predictive planning a couple of years back, where we could look at your history and correlate that to an algorithm, and then use that algorithm to forward project. But there's nothing like a global pandemic to really mess up your history, where that's not always a good predictor in terms of where you want to go. And so we've had to leverage more machine learning so we can learn on the fly and understand those changes in the data, and then once that data changes, have that be reflected in the resulting outcome. So we're in the process of releasing insights. And what insights are really trying to look at 3 key patterns in the data. Is there anything like forecast bias? So we've got a forecast and you've got your actuals, and you may find out that somebody is always very, very positive, but the actuals always come in less than. On the converse, somebody could be extremely negative, but the actuals always come in ahead of the forecast. And if we can net that out with a much more accurate forecast, we can free up capital in order to do more interesting things for the business as a whole. So it's an area that we're really trying to drive that forward. We're also looking at differences between a machine-generated forecast versus a human-generated forecast, and at least having the conversation. What does the human know that the machine doesn't know, so you can again reflect and more accurately project the forecast that you're actually going after. And the important thing with the machines is that we're seeing organizations need to increase the frequency of forecasting. Due to the constant disruption in the business, it's no longer good enough to do this quarterly. You may have to do it monthly, and in certain industries we may be down to a weekly forecast. At a weekly level, you can't do data input aggregation in order to generate your forecast. You have to do machine generation and react to the generation and do judgment across that. And that's really a lot of focus in terms of where we're going and what we're really trying to do and achieve with some of the machine learning that we've done. The other area that we have spent a little time and energy in, and again, it's born out of the pandemic to a certain extent, is in the scenario modeling space. Where you may want to, in the past we would have looked at a longer time frame. Here's the strategy for the organization. Here's potentially organic growth opportunities, M&A, when you should structure a deal, not structure a deal, and looking at uses of cash and debt, et cetera, et cetera. In the pandemic, we've seen that shift to what we call crisis planning. So instead of planning over 15 years, let's plan over 15 weeks, but do it with an integrated set of financials. Understand exactly what is our cash position, where will we be, will we have enough to survive, assuming revenue has dropped down dramatically, what projects we can delay so we can free up capital, et cetera. And we've seen a lot of companies really leveraging that to get a good handle on the early portions of the pandemic. Once they've sort of shifted out of that model and into the growth model again, they're starting to look at multiple scenarios. Which channel is going to be more important? Which geography may be more important in terms of opening up faster than others? And mixing and matching all of those together with organic growth and inorganic growth, and having a holistic view of their business. So they have risk adjusted and much more control over where they're going and what they're trying to achieve. So it's been a very exciting time in this space to really leverage those new innovations and new technologies to deliver improved functionality over what we could have done in the past.
very exciting. Now, you and I have been actually talking about digital assistants a lot, right? Kind of when we first started, frankly, a few years ago, we were actually focusing on mostly the self-service functions like creating expense or kind of basically reporting a time card. And I know that kind of you have actually extended it even to account reconciliation, right? So a lot of things to make it very simple, easy. You don't need to have a professional training about kind of the app. You can interface with the digital assistant, especially the people who are not professional users, but like just casual system users or kind of executives and so on and so forth. Much better, much easier to address. Now, a lot of things that we just discussed is basically decision-making process on the fly. There are lots and lots of different organizations, departments, and roles involved in there. Now, as we see kind of getting into the pandemic, video conferencing and many of the social channels collaboration are becoming more and more prominent, okay? So the digital assistants, we have a slightly different view about how we actually bring digital assistants into the collaboration channels. Correct. So then we can actually facilitate the communication across a wide variety of different organizations and so on. So it's almost kind of to the extent that you can actually ask Oracle to give you some information or perform a simple transaction while you're on a video conference, right? Let that actually to access the information in a very easy way. And we even actually contemplating how we actually bring all that collaboration and even kind of having a digital assistant to summarize the action items and drive status tracking on different things. It's very exciting stuff that we're actually driving. A lot more to come, clearly kind of over the next 6 to 12 months or so. And this is actually a very exciting user experience evolution from there. So in closing, clearly lots of great excitement and achievements from our customer base. The adoption of cloud ERP on the market has never been stronger, driven by business and technology changes. Simplify, standardize, automate, and innovate are really the best practices that we've been exercising and really proven success with many, many of the customers. Now, Matt, any closing thoughts?
Not just again, to the customers, thank you so much for all of the partnerships that we've had. It's extremely rewarding for our development teams to see our feature functions been leveraged and used effectively by you. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have this overriding principle that we call food with integrity. We're trying to do what's right for the environment, what's right for the animal, what's right for the people.
One great thing about Chipotle is we're founded on the belief that there's a connection with how food is raised and prepared and how it tastes. So I truly believe that a burrito can change the world.
Our transformation began with the idea that to truly change the world and have the impact, we needed to provide more access to our food. That access also provides a greater market.
Delivering that quality at scale is incredibly difficult. The Chipotle system is incredibly complex. We have a network of more than 18 distribution centers. We have thousands of suppliers.
Chipotle is a public company and we have quick reporting deadlines.
With Oracle, we found tremendous alignment kind of from the beginning in terms of our mission to cultivate a better world.
We need to make sure that people have the ability to do their jobs with the most efficient use of resources.
In order to make decisions, you need data, right? And your data needs to be accurate. Oracle Cloud allowed us to automate the close process. We were relying on our delivery partners, but now we had real data and we're able to reconcile. The forecast used to take weeks to get done, and now we can get it done in a day.
Chipotle, Oracle, and PwC are all very intentional about the way the world's changing. We've got the ability to create the culture in the companies that we serve.
Because of the complexity of the world that we live in today, it is impossible to manage without the right technology.
I love the idea of how humans and machines can work together to make the world a better place.
Hi, I'm Ray Wong with Constellation Research. I'm here today with David Hofstadius, the Senior Vice President of Finance Operations at Hearst, and Victor Fetter, the CIO of Fortive. So let's start with some quick introductions and bios. Tell us a little bit about your role, your company, and of course, what you guys do. So I'll start with you, Victor. Go ahead.
Well, thanks, Ray. It's great to be here. I'm currently the Chief Information Officer of Fortive. Fortive is an industrial high-tech company comprised of many portfolio companies with iconic brands such as Fluke or Tektronix, or even SaaS companies such as Accruent and Gordian, serving customers in many different markets and helping them optimize their workflows.
Wonderful. David, what about you? What businesses are you in? And tell us a little about your role and your company.
Sure. So David Sawyer, Senior Vice President of Finance Operations at Hearst Communications. My role is I'm responsible for what you can think of as a transactional aspect of finance, which includes our service centers. It also includes driving productivity, efficiency, automation, innovation in the finance space. And Hearst as a company, many of you may be, when you think of Hearst, you probably think of kind of traditional media businesses. We're a very diversified media company. We have magazines, newspapers, broadcast operations. And then there's another side to Hearst that people may be a little bit less familiar with, which is really an information services type company in the health industries, transportation, financial services. So Fitch Ratings, for example, is a wholly owned subsidiary of Hearst that many people are not necessarily aware of. We also have an entertainment part where we own part of ESPN and A&E Networks as well.
Wow, that's amazing. Those are all very different business models and very, very different needs and requirements. And it's actually an interesting segue to you as well, Victor. Victor, you've got a big set of portfolios, and they've got different business models and different types of businesses. As you think about those similarities and differences for the companies that are there, I mean, what kind of agility is required, and what vision do you have for the organization?
You know, as we think across our operating companies, as you described, each of them have pretty unique business needs. And the IT leaders that are supporting those businesses, every day they're trying to figure out how to best serve the customers in those distinct markets. And that requires us to be pretty agile in our approach to serving those business needs, and at the same time trying to find commonality across those business needs. And we're able to successfully do both with the suite of tools from Oracle. If you look at something like Oracle HCM, we span all of our portfolio companies with that singular platform. If you look at something like Oracle Supply Chain, or even in finance, we have to tailor it locally to that given company's operations. And so what we're trying to do is constantly balance that healthy tension between where can we find value and harmonization versus where do we have to provide a very tailored solution for a specific operating company. It's been great to partner with Oracle as we try to balance both of those needs and thinking through the various options as we take companies from a period of maybe legacy systems and try to modernize them into more current state platforms. And it's just been a wild ride.
So, David, on your end as well, you sound like you're doing something similar, and I'd love to know the before and after of what you had before in terms of the ERP systems that were in place before the shift to Oracle, and then a view of what it looks like now, because it sounds like you're also a conductor here as well.
Sure. So, it's interesting when you think of media and you think of digital and the disruption of digital, it obviously happened very quickly on our business side. It took a little bit longer to reach our back office and our finance operations, if you will. So our before, believe it or not, we had really not made any significant investments in finance technologies, processes, ERPs for over 20 years. We had a green screen environment, AS400, very data entry centric type of environment, and what it really had run its course. There's also not a lot of direction or mandate, so to speak, to consolidate and to harmonize, standardize across our different businesses. So fast forward, we launched a program that we called Unify to get to 2 leaps forward, if you will, in terms of modern technologies, modern processes, harmonize on the finance side where we can harmonize. We went from 15 chart of accounts to a single chart of account. We went to common processes, if you will. And it's really driven a lot of the opportunity for consolidation, harmonization, efficiencies over time.
That's pretty important, right? I mean, that helps you mitigate risk, that helps you consolidate processes, allows you to actually leverage your team to be more strategic over time. These are some very interesting things. What's it like running the business in the cloud now versus, trying to find RPG coders on AS400?
For us, the key thing was we wanted product currency, and we wanted somebody else to do that work for us. So to continually get an updated environment with new capabilities, et cetera, that was really one of the first drivers. So that was, and that is a little bit different than the traditional ERP. You had an install base, and then every few years you did an upgrade, you spent a bunch of money, and it was disruptive and became its own project. So from our perspective, what we wanted to make sure was that there was a product that was mature enough that could handle our complexity and size, and really, continue to grow with us, if you will.
Victor, on your end, do you actually agree with this cloud versus on-prem difference as well?
I do. I think the one twist I would add to it is it's really about portfolio optionality. If you look at what our companies are trying to accomplish, they have very different targets and very different needs as they make their way through the service continuum. And so sometimes it's appropriate to go full to the cloud and reap the benefits of that stream of innovation that's coming in. We have other examples that we wanted to take in our solutions and bring it to the cloud infrastructure that Oracle provides. And that allows a different set of capabilities that we may be trying to solve for. And so for me, I think as you look across some 15 different operating companies, they're not all on the same journey. They're not all on the same path. They're not on the same place of maturity. And as a result, that optionality becomes key. One thing we do see is this drive to move to the cloud. There's certain complexities that sometimes we struggle to overcome as we try to get to that journey to the cloud. But everyone, I think, sees that is the direction and probably the most appropriate platform for a business that's looking to digitally transform at scale and really get the innovation that they need in their marketplace.
I'm going to start talking about another aspect, what's been interesting, which is really about how do we innovate, right? And this is a hard thing, right? Especially in a lot of our environments. And there's an innovation dimension that's super important. David, you've been live at Hearst for some time now. You've gone through multiple quarter closes, multiple product updates, and more importantly, you've taken a lot of innovation that's Oracle's building into its offerings. But here's the question, how do you determine where you take those quarterly updates, or what features, or what's important? How do you bring those in and adopt on those?
Right. So, I'd say, we've been live for now 3 years or so. And our first quarterly update, 3 years ago, it turned into a massive project, right? We wanted to dot all the I's, cross all the T's. We had test cases, we had use cases, we had everybody lined up, and it became this big initiative. And part of it was our first real production update, and we wanted to make sure that we did everything that we could to make it smooth. If you fast forward, we're actually having our update this weekend to the latest version. I wouldn't say it's a non-event, but it starts 2 weeks prior. We run some regression tests. Prior to that, we look at what's new in the release, like what's coming. Are there features, functions, capabilities that's relevant to us and stuff that's not relevant to us? If it's stuff that's relevant to us, then we assign it to whatever functional group or process lead that applies to. They assess it, they engage users to the extent we need to, we configure it, and we become part of the test, and then we adopt it. So it's these updates really have, like I said, I wouldn't call it a non-event, because it's not a non-event. We're much better. We know what we need to do. Oracle knows what they need to do. And I don't think we've had any issues at all with these updates.
I think it's easier to go through these upgrade cycles. You're getting more robust functionality more frequently, but there are some new muscles that I think you need to build. I think one is a real focus on product management. You need to understand that roadmap. You need to understand what's coming. You need to understand what features apply to your given organization, so you can have those conversations around what are you going to turn on or not turn on, et cetera. And you need to have that good relationship with the Oracle product and support teams, because they got to stand by your side and support you in that journey of those regular updates. And so I think there's some new things that we have to build, new capabilities, new processes. But at the end of the day, sitting in my chair, it's a heck of a lot easier today to get through upgrade cycles than it was, 5 and 10 years ago.
The other thing that we do is, so the stuff that we don't adopt, on a periodic basis, we go back and kind of look back and says, what didn't we pick up the first time around? And it's the stuff that now, makes sense, that we should kind of turn back on, so to speak. And it's a little bit of a different model.
I'm going to toss this back to Victor real quick. You mentioned that in the past that frequent innovation is important for staying ahead. And so the question here is, how do you do that right now? right? How do you see these technologies changing the way you guys do business and your objectives? And are there specific areas that you're getting a massive and early immediate benefit from, for example, areas like AI and ML, or from areas that change the way you kind of look at innovation in terms of corporate processes?
I think there's a stream of innovation that's unlike we've seen before. And in fact, I think it's process on our side is how do we take advantage of it that need to evolve maybe even faster than some of the innovation that's coming out. And so again, those are, I think, some things that we're learning our way through. I think we get very excited about the potential. I mean, you sit down with the product teams and you hear about what's coming in the roadmaps. There's a lot of things that are accretive to our business operations. When you think about AI or predictive analytics, or the use of some of those capabilities, even the HR suite or in the finance suite, those are very interesting to us as a company. I think those are capabilities that are coming, but we're just not there yet, And so I think there's a lot of optimism in terms of what the roadmaps look like. We're excited. We just need to see it.
So let's talk an area where we see a lot of innovation too. That's AI and ML. How do you actually see this impacting your business and what you're trying to do? And are there some areas that you're actually getting a benefit from this AI infusion?
So I would say from my perspective, the early adoption around kind of automation tools that sit around kind of a core ERP or HR system, et cetera, is RPA, right? RPA can automate a lot of structured data tasks. And there's some limitations with that. Some of it, there's some great use cases and you can automate it very quickly. The barrier to entry is not all that high, right? It's not terribly expensive, and the skills, are resident in a lot of, whether it's IT folks or finance folks or other folks. So I think you can kind of get up that curve relatively quickly. But where you can really start, getting some value out of it is when it's not just a decision tree where somebody, there's a human element or a decision element of saying, if it's this, I think it's that, or this is what you do in certain cases. So we adopted RPA quickly. I'm not sure if experimenting, what we're piloting is probably a better word, is around chatbots. How do we have chatbots that can answer questions and deflect common finance questions? How can we achieve touchless processing where we do have human intervention in certain transactions where machine learning AI capabilities should be able to maybe not deflect 100% of it, but some portion of those transactions we can probably start automating to get humans out of that transaction flow. So I think it's like Victor said, there's so much innovation, there's so much change in the space. I think there's so many different capabilities that are coming. And from our perspective, obviously we try to stay engaged with what's happening in the market, what's happening on the Oracle product side, what's happening in product development, what are some of the features and capabilities that Oracle is rolling out where we shouldn't be focusing.
It makes a lot of sense. And then Victor, on your end, I mean, you've been an early pioneer in chatbots and AI and some of your other companies and stuff. I was going to ask how you're actually taking and looking at AI as well.
Very similar to David. I mean, we're seeing the benefits. You think about automation that's given through chatbots, or you think about account close using some matching capabilities or AI capabilities. I think the space of innovation is so robust at the moment and has so much potential. I think the hard part is to figure out what matters most. I often talk to my team about, sometimes we're kids at a candy store. Let's try this, let's try that, right? And at some point you got to go, wait, time out. What's going to bring the most value to the company? And Ray, we've had conversations. We've engaged your organization to help us cut through the noise and just get to the point of where can we add the most value.
Let's quickly talk about the innovation aspect of getting this continuous innovation. We'll start with you, David, at Hearst. With the foundational technology infrastructure in place, right? Now you've got the efficiencies and you've got some level of cloud maturity. So you can actually start adding more and more innovations along on a quarterly basis. What's the value in that? Are you seeing that strategic aspect as you're scaling up as you go through the cloud maturity model?
We're working with the Oracle product development team on kind of intelligence around predicting accounting information on different invoices as they come in. We're also looking with Oracle product development on something we call dynamic discounting. How do we create intelligent payment discounts where suppliers can get paid early in exchange for a discount? They don't have to take it. They can't take it. In the pandemic, we saw actually in a number of periods, all of a sudden, right, certain suppliers would love to get cash sooner. right? How do we build those capabilities into the core product and then tie it together with a supplier portal, right? So if you're a supplier to Hearst, you have one place to go and you can do a number of different things, not just from a self-service perspective, but you have other capabilities that are more sophisticated, I would call, that's driving savings on our side, not just from self-service, but also from this intelligent payment processing. So I think it's the luxury that we have, right? I don't worry about patching our environment. I don't worry about a lot of the things in terms of just running, which allows me and my team to think about these other things, right? Clearly there's activities, we have a lot of integrations in and out. There's constant, to keep things running, but there's a portion that we don't necessarily worry about and that Oracle is dealing with for us, which allows us then to focus on these other things and look at capabilities that we should build out and automate.
I think clients get the benefit of crowdsourced ideation. Like David was just describing how to get to touchless invoicing. In some ways I go, I don't have to worry about that because David's going to solve that problem and I'm going to reap the benefit of it in the platform. And at the same time, my team is thinking about next generation talent and how to better position talent. And at some point, David's probably going to benefit from how to take advantage of whatever tools and capabilities come out of that endeavor. And so you're seeing, I think, the benefit of organizations sharing ideas of efficiency and speed and innovation. And I no longer have to wait to the annual release or the two-year release or whatever that is, because if a good partnership with the product development teams is also an important part of the equation. And when you have that in place, you then are creating a cycle of change that is really unmatched from what we've seen previously.
Oh, this is great. I mean, you guys are sharing some great lessons learned on innovation, on what people need to do around change management. It sounds like you're all taking advantage, of that innovation cycle that's out there, and working very closely with Oracle in terms of their product management and the product roadmap, which is something that is very important, especially when you're early in the game here. So I'm going to ask a few questions. These are lightning round questions. The first one is really, what advice would you have for organizations that are looking to move to the cloud? The second one is your favorite feature in the Oracle Cloud. I'll start with you, David. What would you have organizations, and what would you tell organizations the advice that they'd be as they're looking to move to the cloud?
What people tend to be skeptical about is the cloud mature enough for our business? And I would say the answer is yes. I mean, it's not. It's been out there. The applications are mature. Don't be afraid to adopt them.
So they're mature. They're hardened. You can go there. Victor, your end.
I think what I would say, working with a good partner is key, because that will help define your success. Having a close relationship with your CFO, because the economics are different, and trying to make the case for that transition could prove to be difficult. So a good partner with your CFO is critical.
All right. What's your favorite feature in the Oracle Cloud, Victor?
Just the pace of change, the innovation cycles.
You like the speed, the pace of change?
I'm going to call in my favorite athlete, Tom Brady. And everybody says, what's your favorite ring? It's the next one. My favorite feature is the next one.
Woohoo, I love this innovation cycle. Well, hey, thank you, David, Victor, for sharing your insights. I think I've learned a lot about where we are in cloud and what people are doing with it. More importantly, thinking about the changing business environment, the agility required, the innovation dimension that's been out here, and more importantly, what you have to do to make change happen, especially in these fast and rapid cycles. Really appreciate your insights. Really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Muzz Songarwala, and I lead Application Services Excellence here at Oracle. This group encompasses customer support and customer success across Oracle's applications portfolio. It was recently formed and integrated with our applications development organization here at the company. We did this to bring together all of the capabilities and elements of customer experience in one place, under one umbrella, to ensure a seamless and friction-free experience for our clients. We did this in one organization to eliminate potential silos, converge around common goals and objectives, and also streamline operational processes. We're seeing the positive impacts of this already, with record numbers of customers successfully going live and realizing value with their Oracle applications investments. A lot of customers ask me, what do you mean when you say you have a customer-first mindset? After all, a lot of technology companies say they're customer-centric. To us, it's really about the entire experience across the entire life cycle. What does that mean? From a customer standpoint, if you're using the application and have a simple question, please don't make me actually have to leave your application to get an answer to that simple question. Make your products easy to use and more intuitive. If the product can't answer this question for me, make it so that I can get the answer quickly by surfacing useful content in a self-service manner quickly. For us, that means really working and ensuring that our help is available across multiple digital platforms. When I do have to talk to somebody at Oracle, please make sure that I can get to the right person who has the right skills as fast as possible. For us, that means shielding you from all of the inner workings and the operational processes to ensure that that occurs. And finally, when you've helped me with my issue or answered my question, don't just let me go on with my day. Help me understand where I could get better. Are there best practices that I could be looking at? And for us, that's about continuity of experience. So it's with these design principles in mind, it's shaping everything we do and everything we're investing in. And with those principles in mind, we believe we are driving a customer-centric model from onboarding and readiness through implementation and go-live, through business continuity and value realization. So let's talk about some concrete examples. Every customer, as part of their subscription, is assigned an implementation support team to work with your implementation team and those of your chosen systems integrator to ensure project success. This team is headed up by an implementation support lead and augmented by product support experts to work with your implementation team by managing your service requests, reviewing your project milestones, ensuring any blockers to those milestones are addressed in a timely manner, and act as escalation points. This team stays with you through your successful go-live and only rolls off after you've been able to run your critical business processes in the cloud successfully. But it doesn't stop there. Post-go-live, we monitor your environment to ensure that A, you're staying at a state where you need it to be, but at times where things may result in a flurry of activities that may indicate that you may be in a non-healthy state, we assign a product expert to work with your teams to get you back to that stable state. This can happen when you have things like mergers and acquisitions or divestitures. So you've heard me describe what our experience is from a support standpoint across the life cycle. Let's make it real. We've had record number of customers, as I mentioned, go live over the last several quarters. In each of these instances, we've learned what works and what doesn't. That level of expertise is brought to bear on each of these implementation support teams. Things like, is an operational readiness plan in place post-go live? What is the change management plan for your users? Are you ready with a dress rehearsal for a go live before you actually go through your go live? And are all issues addressed before we actually get to the big event? In most of these cases, our customers are seeking our counsel on what works best based on the experience we have with the thousands of customers we serve. Similarly, the last several quarters during the pandemic has seen a lot of customers start using new functionality or functionality that existed already to ensure that their business stays nimble and agile. They come to us for help in understanding how best to implement, how best to configure, how best to turn on this functionality to enable their business. Through this, we want to get into a much more advisory state with our clients and move away from just being take a case, close a case, move on to the next case. Again, aligned to your overall success, enabling your overall objectives. By taking this high-touch approach, we believe that we're accelerating our transformation from transactionally supporting our customers to one which is much more proactive and aligned to your journey. This is all backed up with our robust Cloud Customer Connect community, where hundreds of thousands of members are engaging and collaborating with tens of thousands of discussion groups so that you can share best practices and maximize the value of your SaaS investment. For the future, we're investing heavily in critical business process monitoring for things like your monthly closure of the books or payroll. This will allow us to take a predictive and proactive approach to mitigating issues before you even notice them. Similarly, we're also investing heavily in automation, where as you're telling us about a particular issue through the support experience, we're scanning for patterns and anomalies to make sure that we can either speed time to resolution or address issues before they even occur in your environment. These are just a couple of examples where we believe that we're driving a much different customer experience and one which is aligned to your business objectives. To summarize, we've made some big, bold moves here, both organizationally and strategy-wise, to ensure that we really fulfill our aspirations of being a customer-centric organization. As with anything, this is an ever-evolving aspiration, and we're committed to take our customers' feedback to deliver what will truly be an excellent service experience. Thank you so much. My team and myself look forward to working with you as you embark on your cloud journey or are realizing value with what you've already achieved. Thank you so much.
Today, you've heard some amazing stories about companies outpacing change in their respective industries and relying on a modern set of cloud applications from Oracle. And the journey doesn't end here. For our existing customers, I urge you to visit our Oracle Cloud Customer Connect in connecting with our broader community. And for those of you weighing your options about what a future platform looks like to you to support your business needs, I urge you to visit our Oracle Cloud ERP Innovations website. Thank you so much for your time.